Thank you guys for tuning in to the podcast on the cusp. So, man, we're in the second week of 2019, so I hope that everything is still going great for you. Appreciate you guys for listening. So, we have a special guest with us today. This is Miss T.
Hey y'all.
Right. So, Miss T hit me up. She was like, Chris, I want to be on your podcast. And so we just decided, it was a good thing, it was a good fit. So we decided to go ahead and I swear to God, like I have no idea why the fuck this happens every time I start to record. God. Anyway, so we decided that we were going to do the podcast together or whatever. So I'm sorry, I'm kind of stalling real quick because I'm trying to turn off all the notifications because it seems like that's what everybody wants to call as soon as I get on here and try to do a podcast. Anyway, well, Miss T, let's go ahead and get started. So you have some things going on as far as like being an entrepreneur. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
I'm a local artist manager. I manage two local artists. One, both are female artists. One is out of Fort Worth. She's my R&B artist. Her name is E. Smith. She goes by official E. Smith Music on social media. My hip hop artist goes by the name of Solo Texas. She goes by at Solo Music on Facebook, and at Solo Texas Music on Facebook, and Solo Texas 1 on Instagram. And so yeah.
Okay. So how did you get started in management?
I actually got started in management because Solo Texas was looking for a manager to help manage her music career. And she knows that I have a love for music and I'm very business oriented. So she asked me to be her manager. It's about 2 years ago, 2016, November of 2016 is when I officially became Solo Texas music manager.
Okay. So, what have been like some of your experiences when you first jumped into the industry?
To be quite honest, I was looking for more of an understanding of the music business because performing is very, very easy. The difficult part is getting the business in order prior to performing. So I was dealing with a lot of, just not knowing the plugs, who to go to, the promoters, the DJs, who's popular, where are the best venues to perform at, building a fan base, just the normal stuff that artists tend to, confront as, becoming an upcoming artist. So those are some of the experiences that I've dealt with.
Okay. So I had sent you this article, and this article talks about strained relationships, right, between the black mother and the black daughter. And so one of the things that they talked about is your relationship with your mother kind of really dictates how you deal with relationships with women later on down the line, whether it's friendships, whether it's your aunt, or whatever.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, because you have a daughter as well.
Yes.
So you being an entrepreneur and coming up in the business, how do you teach her about being an entrepreneur and how to develop relationships with other people?
Okay, so first and foremost, I taught my daughter to learn who she was and to love herself regardless of the people that she come in contact with as far as her peers. Also, I want to give a shout out to my daughter.
Oh, really?
Okay. So I want to give a shout out to my daughter because today she called me and said that she got accepted to TSU.
Come on, TSU.
And so, yay! So I'm very happy about that. And that's what make this podcast so important right now, because I felt like at some time I wasn't really giving her the best advice
Mm-hmm.
because of my shortcomings. But then after hearing this today, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like on cloud nine because it all worked out.
Right, right.
So, but just as far as some of the things that I tried to teach her, was like I said, just to love herself, be who she is, don't conform to what your friends and everybody got going on around you, and just stay true to who you are, and the right people will stay around you.
Right on, right on. So that's man, that's awesome. Congratulations about getting into TSU. That's my alma mater anyway.
Okay,
So yeah, congratulations on that. And I like what you said, is that you basically taught her to love herself first. How important is it in the society that we're in right now, and how it relates to young black girls? How important is it to teach her to love herself first?
because people come and go, and they come and go so quick. Sometimes you don't even have a opportunity to process it through your mind because there's so busy trying to figure out if it was you or if it was them or if it was an influence from someone else. And that's why I said she needs to love herself first, because if you know in your hearts of hearts that you mean good and you have good intentions by anybody that you come across, then you won't be so hard on yourself. You won't beat yourself up, which causes depression and anxiety and all those other emotional disorders.
Right, right, right. And another reason I think it's important to teach our black girls to love themselves first is because a lot of times they don't get that love or recognition of who they are from the world.
Right.
Um, and sometimes you look out and you don't see anybody that's kind of like standing up for you.
Right.
So one of the things that's going on right now is this, and I hate to even talk about it, but the surviving R. Kelly shit, right? Right. So we're not going to dive into that, but what I do want to talk about is some of the opinions of some of the people that I've seen speak out about it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we heard celebrities speak out and say, hey, we didn't know, and now that we know, we need to mute R. Kelly, and let's not support him, and this and that. But there's also another narrative that shows that there are people who are still supporting R. Kelly, and they are victimizing the girls for coming out and speaking their story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they start out by, all these different questions of, well, why are you waiting this long to come out? And y'all just trying to destroy this man's legacy, and it's just another way for them to attack the black man. And I guess the problem with it was, for me, is that there was a 13-year-old girl that was involved in all of this. Mm-hmm. She's not 13 now.
Right.
But at the time when this took place, she was a baby.
Right.
13, 14 mm-hmm. years old. And for you to say that the responsibility was on her mm-hmm. to not be fast and mess with a grown man, I feel like that's sick.
Yeah.
Like,
it is.
You know what I'm saying? It's sick, and you, like, how can you put that responsibility on a child? And there's no responsibility on the grown man for messing with a child.
Well, I'll say this. At a certain age in anybody's life, but because we're talking about a young black girl,
mm-hmm.
at certain ages, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Right.
Being a mother, from I guess it depends on how your daughter or how your child, understanding or comprehension goes. But when my baby was probably 4 or 5 and just running her mouth, mm-hmm. I knew then to teach her. Somebody touch you here, touch mm-hmm. you there. Mm-hmm. That's a no-no. Friends, family, whoever, teachers, mm-hmm. daycare worker, whoever, because I knew that she understood then.
Right.
So when she got 12, 13, when she first had her first menstrual cycle, I explained to her, hey, now you can get pregnant. Mm-hmm. Even though she can get pregnant before then, but now you can get pregnant, because at that age she understood mm-hmm. because she was going through those changes. So when it pertains to these other young ladies that were so-called victimized by R. Kelly, at a certain age you knew better. Oh, not you. I'm just saying. At a certain age, a young lady knows right from wrong, knows better. She knows what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Right.
But at the same token, I do not blame it all on the young ladies, because even with my daughter has a passion for dance, and my daughter has a womanly build. She's thick. I ain't gonna lie. And so I wouldn't leave my daughter with no grown man. I wouldn't leave my child really with a grown woman. You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave my child nowhere where she could be influenced in a negative way. And they put a bad rep on studios, but there's a lot of stuff goes on in the studio.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff goes on behind your own bedroom door, you know, living room, wherever. But it's a lot that goes on in the studio. So I just wouldn't have left my child, period, unsupervised.
That's. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
All the way to 18. I wouldn't. My daughter's 17, and I still don't leave her unsupervised.
Right on. I mean, you have to protect that, because there are predators that are looking to get these little girls.
Yeah.
And so that also kind of talks about like how the culture has changed to where, I don't know about anybody else, you know, I may be a little bit older, but my mom, when you went to go spend the night at someone's house, she had that talk with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you weren't spending the night over someone's house that they didn't know the family.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so I think the culture has kind of changed now to where there are things that are now acceptable that weren't acceptable before. Like, you know, little girls being able to go and be out with men, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that you can't. And there's somebody that you trust, of course. But I think that trust has to really be built like for a while. It's not like a short process. And so you see now where, you know, these little girls are out with men and sometimes they take advantage of them. And I think that what's not being talked about here is that, yes, at a certain age you do know that you do know what's acceptable and what's not. But how do you prepare your daughter for meeting someone like R. Kelly, who is very popular? At the time, you know, he was very popular. Like, you couldn't go anywhere and not hear an R. Kelly song. And he has this status, and she looks up to him in a way that's like, oh my God, I can't even believe that he's even talking to me.
Right.
Right. And so that's the mental aspect of it now. So basically, for some girls, I would say, all those things that you kind of taught them kind of went out the window, because now it's different. This is not Uncle Chester that, you know, try to touch on you from your family at the family reunion. This is a guy who has status, who's very popular. How do you prepare your daughter for those type of things? Like, or can you?
Well, I mean, you can try. You can try to prepare them, because at the end of the day, everybody has their own mind. And as bad as I have tried to prepare my daughter for the things that I knew were going to come ahead, she still had to experience some things for herself.
Yeah.
And that's very unfortunate, but that's a process and that's a way of life. A lot of people learn from experience. Like they say, experience is the greatest teacher. So sometimes it's like it's inevitable. You can't stop it. So in my daughter's case, I've always taught my daughter to work for her own money, to pay her own bills, to buy her own snacks at school, even if it's chores around the house. You know, you have to, some things you have to stick to, and it becomes a normal. You know what I'm saying? You work for what you want. You don't take any handouts, especially from the opposite sex. If it's a male, or if it's, you know, it's a boy, it'd be female, because they could be trying to buy your love. And I also teach my daughter that don't be so easily bought. You know, don't let nobody give you a king size sneaker bar in ninth grade, and now you give them your whole virginity. Like, it's not worth it. It doesn't add up. It doesn't even add up, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, I talk to my daughter a lot about the American dream. You know, finishing school, finding your love in college, graduating college, having babies, no house, well, married first, and then the house and the white picket fence and all that. All of that is very, but it doesn't happen that way. So what I did for my child is what I feel like should have been done for me.
Okay.
I tell her all the ins and outs. Yes, you may get pregnant.
Right.
That
Right.
don't mean he gonna stay around.
Hmm.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he may be able to. I don't know. He may be able to put you on a certain platform that will bring you millions of followers on Instagram, but that don't mean he may want some oral sex for it. You know.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I tell my daughter straight up, and sometimes she gets mad because I'm very
Those are
blunt.
tough conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. And she like, Mom, why do you want to talk to me about that? Because it happens. And you're not going to sit up here in my face and act like it don't happen, because it has happened to me before when I was her age.
Okay, so I want to kind of touch on what you said. You said that you do for her what you felt like wasn't done
Right,
for you.
right.
So that's important, because there are a lot of times in the black community there aren't a lot of these conversations being where there were.
Hmm.
I think more so now,
Hmm.
but I think that we didn't have those conversations with our mother about those type of things.
And you know why?
Why?
Because there's so much damn confidentiality
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. That's
You
true.
can go to school and get birth control, and I mean condoms. Well, condoms were okay, you know,
Yeah.
but you can go to school and get birth control.
And
You can
your
get
parents,
a depot shot on lunch at lunchtime, because I did,
Oh wow. Okay.
and my mom didn't have to sign for nothing.
Wow. That's crazy.
But had my mom said, "You're not having sex and you're not getting no depot," then what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd have been sitting my ass down somewhere, or I'd just been pregnant.
Right. Right. Wow.
See, my daughter can't do that.
Exactly.
You can go to your counselor all day long,
Yeah.
but as soon as I find out that you got anything coming that I didn't authorize, it's a problem.
Most definitely.
It's a problem with me and the school, and I've had to go through that already.
But you know what? There's a lot of confidentiality when it comes to just the family in general. Because I can think of how many people who have passed on in my family that are older, that they was just like, whatever it was, they took it with them to their graves. If it's something that happened in the family,
Yeah.
they tell you, you know what I'm saying? Nobody, it's like speculation,
Mhm.
but the real story of what happened, that person took it with them to their graves. And how much better as people would we have been if we were able to have
That knowledge.
that knowledge and that conversation with them about, you know, when I was 13, this happened to me.
Right. Right.
Like, I think that's important for you to have those type of conversations with your daughter. One, not to scare her, but to make her aware.
And to make her aware, and also so that you can reassure her you're not alone. So when you go through certain situations, you don't have to be ashamed to open up to me, because I've been there.
Exactly.
And I think for me that was very important, because I felt like a lot of that stuff I was embarrassed of a lot,
Okay.
because I just knew you weren't supposed to do that. But had I have been taught, or even just given a testimony by my mom, aunt, granny, or something, then I would have. Another thing, I would have been more, like you said, more aware, and I would have noticed it when it came,
Mm-hmm.
and I could have made the choice whether or not to pursue it.
And you would have felt comfortable going and talk to your mom
Right.
or whoever about
Had
it.
I made a mistake, I would have felt comfortable, but because I didn't know, it was like, don't say that, because they'll look at you crazy, or they'll talk about you, or you know how family do.
That shaming culture.
Yeah, and so I just didn't want to. But like I said, had somebody had talked to me about some things, then I would have, handled it differently. I'm thinking I would have handled it differently then.
No, I think I think the most important thing is knowledge
Right.
about anything. You know, the more you know, the better you're able to handle any type of situation.
Right.
And I like what you're talking about, because it takes away that veil that parents used to wear, that they were perfect as kids.
Oh God, I found out stuff about my mom when I was like 25 that just crushed my soul. I was like, you telling me you did all of this and you called me a bitch? and I was just like, the audacity of you. But then at some point in time, you have to also understand from where they come from. They didn't want to reveal too much to you.
Too early. Yeah.
But at the same time, when you go to school, it's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there. You were talking about entrepreneurship and with your, growing or raising a daughter, and my daughter was wanting to, what was she wanting to do? Lord have mercy. I forgot whatever it was she was wanting to do, but she was playing basketball at the time. And I'm sorry, I probably jumped off the
No, you're
subject a little
good.
bit. And the coach at the school got fired. And nobody could understand why the coach got fired. And it was all under, like, it was so quiet. All the kids were protesting. Even my daughter protesting for the coach. I told my daughter to go sit down somewhere. Because if you don't know what's going on,
Yeah.
you don't know go somewhere and sit down. See, she was thinking that they were being so wrong to him. But like I told her, you don't know what he has done. Because, another thing, knowledge. I had a lot of coaches come on to me in school.
Right.
You don't know what could be going on. And so she's like, well, if I had a job, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do that. I said, Kiriana, you don't know what may happen. Because you don't know what another person may perceive you as, how you're handling a kid, how you're doing any of this. So I try to talk to my daughter a lot about watch how you carry yourself, watch how you handle, people around you, and just watch yourself. Just watch yourself.
Okay.
You got to watch yourself at all times.
No, that's cool. So, getting back to the entrepreneurship, like, do you take her with you when you conduct different deals, or do you talk to her about it?
She was my assistant for like 2 weeks. God, that didn't work out.
Right.
But she was my assistant, so I invited her into my world that way first. She's only 17, so she's not allowed to come into a lot of the venues.
Yeah.
But when there is an opportunity, like I think it's called Port David's Pub, they allow children to come in. And I let my daughter come in. I let all my children come in, but more so my daughter. And I told her, just kind of watch how I move around, networking, talking to the DJ, talking to the club manager. Just kind of just networking. Also, when I do my community outreach, when I go out to feed the homeless, or just go out and give encouraging words to the homeless, I let her come with me.
Yeah.
So she can see. So wherever it's more what's the word I'm looking for? Kid friendly, appropriate.
Yeah.
I let her come with me.
Okay, that's dope. So how with your son, do you? I mean, I know he's a little bit younger than her. How does he see it at this point?
He wants to be a rapper.
He wants to be a rapper.
But he's a basketball player, but he can freestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he can freestyle. And to be honest, when it was dealing with my son, I did not realize how much he was really paying attention.
Right.
To my my artist solo Texas, to her rehearsing and writing and in her studio, and he was really picking it up and paying attention. All of a sudden one day, I download a lot of instrumentals, especially for solos sometimes. And so I just had him in the car playing, because to be honest with you, I listen to a lot of instrumentals. I like to.
Okay.
And he just started freestyling.
Yeah.
And he was about 11. He just turned 12 in November. And he just started freestyling. And see, my son has a problem with, he's a little delayed in the reading and writing area.
Okay.
And I found out that this kind of helps motivate him to learn more words. To read more, to have a better comprehension of the words that he's using, and how he's wanting to use them, and when to use them, and it has its pros and cons, because he's a smart ass now, but I'd rather have that than him just not knowing, having no clue of what he wants to say.
That's dope. So he found something that sparked his interest in learning more.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. So how did you use that? Knowing that now, he wants to be a rapper and he wants to learn more about words and stuff like that. How do you use that to keep him interested?
Interested in rapping or learning?
Learning, yeah.
Well, I just try to look up things on YouTube, especially when it comes to math and reading, and ways to help remember things. There's a lot of raps. I don't know the name of any of those people that I don't know. His teachers email me a lot.
Okay.
Because they are really, they're really adamant about learning and teaching and helping their kids learn, and so they email me and text me a lot of links. Because he shows interest at school. So when he comes home, I let him listen to that. It's better him listening to Vines all damn day So
Right.
those vines, oh my God, they say a lot of stupid stuff. But um, so yeah, so I just use that. I just use that rap, to encourage him to continue to learn and continue to read and continue to write. I encourage him to write. He hates to write.
Mm.
That rapping, you have to write. You have to
Right,
write. You have to
right.
write your lyrics down. You have to write. And so he likes to do that.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
That's dope. That's dope. So I wanted to kind of wrap it up and kind of talk about. Well, there's a new thing that I'm doing this year, so I
Hmm.
wanted to ask a few questions.
Okay.
Okay. So the first one is name five people. Okay. I mean, I won't do five. We'll do three.
Oh, my
Let's do
hand.
three.
No, no, we can do
We
five.
can do
Hold my
five.
hand
Okay.
out.
So name coming from the industry that you're in right now. Name
Okay.
five people who you will be excited to work with, and yeah, that's it. Name five people who you'll be excited to work with.
Okay. From an artist manager that I would love to work with,
Right.
Jill Cook.
Okay.
K104 is a program director with K104.
Okay.
Key Henson, I believe that's her name. Henson. She's 21 Savage manager.
Okay.
Coach K. Coach K is out. I believe he's out of Atlanta. He's also managed Migos, Lil Yachty.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and see who else. I really, 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 really would love to get to work with KJ Midday. She's at 94.5, Magic 94.5. She has a her voice, her
Yeah.
radio voice. Oh, I love it. And she's just a dope female to me. And one more person. Can they not be in the industry?
No, they don't have to be there.
Okay, one more person I would love to work with. And I'm just being very honest.
Yeah.
I would love to work with my daughter.
That's dope. That's dope.
And I didn't mean to make her last, but because it's like that mother-daughter thing, it's always,
Yeah.
we like this. But she's a wonderful dancer, and I would love to introduce her to some of the artists in the mainstream, like Beyonce, Missy Elliott.
Yeah.
Who else have a bad squad? Sierra. I like Sierra's dance,
Me too.
her moves.
Yeah.
I know everybody's not too fond of her singing, but her dances are on point. And Janet Jackson. I would love to introduce my daughter to Janet Jackson.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So next question.
Okay.
If you were going to leave this earth tomorrow and you only had three things to leave for your daughter, what would it be? These are only three things. Everything else goes away, but the three things that you want your daughter to know before you leave this earth.
3 things I want my daughter to know before I leave this earth. For one, I want my daughter to know that I'm very proud of her.
Mm-hmm.
I put love and proud together. I love her, and I'm very, very, very proud of her. The second thing that I will leave my daughter would be to never stop striving for what you want in life. No matter who comes and goes, you keep going and don't stop ever. And the third thing, not only keep family first, but keep God first. Keep God in your life. Keep God close, very, very close with you, because you're gonna need Him. You're gonna need Him. So yeah.
All right, that's it. I just I always like to ask those questions because I feel like it's interesting to know.
Yeah, and not so much as material things, because that shit can come and go,
Exactly.
get destroyed.
Exactly.
It's more of her inner peace that I want to ensure that she knows how to take care of.
Right.
Her inner
Right.
peace. So yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome, man. Thank you so much for coming on and sitting down and just having a conversation with me about just life in general. So that's it, guys. I will be posting this on YouTube. Um, I want you to tell them where they can reach you on social media.
Okie dokie. On Facebook, you can reach me at Mistee Jones. Sorry, Mistee Jones on Facebook, or Allure Music Management on Facebook. On Instagram, you can reach me at Mistee_Jones. And on Twitter, Mistee_Jones.
Cool, cool, cool. And I'll make sure that I'll add those social media names down at the bottom so you guys can go and follow her. And I would love for you guys to hit her up if you have any questions, or if you want to maybe start a conversation with her about some of the things that we talked about here. I implore you to do that. Like, slide in her DMs and talk to her about it. Like, on for real.
Oh, can I also? I'm an advocate on domestic violence, mental health, community outreach as far as it pertains to homeless mothers and children that are homeless. My mom was homeless for like 7 years of my life.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. We're gonna have to come back and have a conversation about that.
Sure, I can't wait. Serious. I love to talk about my past.
Incoming call from.
It never fails, boy. I tell you. Stop calling me. No, I'm just bullshitting. But anyway, man, that's dope. And we'll come back later and talk about some of the initiatives that she has with domestic violence, and also the homeless outreach. We'll make sure we put those up as well, so you guys can join in and help with those efforts as well. So that's it, guys. Like, I really appreciate you tuning in. You know where you can find me, Renaissance Chris on Instagram. And yeah, slide in the DMs and let's keep these topics coming and the conversation going. All right, y'all be easy.